Okay, our speaker lecturer today will be Susan Bauer, who graciously stepped in because Dina is sick. So Susan joined the Chapel of Life in 1987 after attending chapel services and classes starting in 1985. She transferred her membership to the Metaphysical Chapel of Life in 2019 after returning to the Peninsula and is currently serving on the chapel's board of directors. Susan retired from the Department of Defense as an Army civilian after 35 years of service. In her roles as manager or supervisor, she combined her skills and knowledge as an analyst, problem solver, mentor, and coach, along with her spiritual focus to bring positive vision and energy into every project or situation. From a child, Susan has always been interested in understanding why some individuals develop illnesses and diseases, which has taken her on a lifelong journey of study and enhanced her connection with spirit. She credits the Chapel of Life, where she first learned to meditate, the Memorial Spiritualist Church, and the Edgar Cayce Association for Research and Enlightenment, which providing her foundational metaphysical and spiritual understanding, guidance, and tools. All have served her well through the years, often to her own surprise and delight. Susan has been a practitioner of Jinshin Jitsu, an energy harmonizing modality since 2001. She is a Cayce certified life coach, a National Association of Transpersonal Hypnotherapists, certified clinical hypnotherapist, practices body talk, brain balancing, Aconnect, emotion releasing techniques, and is a dowser. She most enjoys receiving and sharing self-help information. Susan wishes everyone a personal connection with the source. So I now bring you Susan. Yes, that's awesome.
Well, folks, I happened to talk to Dina. In fact, I saw her on Friday, and she really has a wonderful presentation, which I understand she's going to be able to provide either later this month at some point. So that's good. And so I am stepping in, and you have to bear with me because this is something I'm working on personally. That's why I have a few notes, but it's still a work in progress. So please, if it resonates with you, good. If not, well, take a nap. What can I say? So what I want to talk about is opening all of our mental channels to provide success and growth for us. And something I've been working on recently, and some of it has to do with Reverend Bill Whitley. He spoke some time ago about stepping aside. He called it taking a vacation so that source could come in. And then I've been doing a lot of work clearing generational things. I spoke some time ago about doing that. In fact, clearing some stuff that went back 34 generations, like 680 years. I do a lot of clearing work in that, but sometimes I need help. And I often go to see our Reverend Sharon Flynn. So in my process of opening all my mental channels rather, so that I can gain more insight and just generally have a better life and share that life. I was working with Reverend Flynn, and she said, "Oh, okay." She said, "I'm working," and she said, "There's like these tubes coming out of your head, and they're expanding." And I'm going, "Dang, it's working! You know, this is cool." So that's what I'm going to talk about, and it is a way for all the good things to come into our life. You know, we are so full of propaganda. We're so brainwashed. And it happens from childhood. Not that our parents mean to do that or our grandparents. It's things that are handed down. And we have to learn to think for ourselves. And in thinking for ourselves, we have to be open to spirit, so that the knowledge and wisdom can flow to us, and that will help us think. That's where our creativity comes from, and all of those things. So what's the first step? And the first step is realizing that we are brainwashed. And sometimes we think there's only one way to success. And that's not true. There are many ways to success. And we're taught that through organizations, through working groups. So sometimes if you think that you want to be a doctor and you don't make it in medical school, you think you're a failure. And that failure also creates a poverty in your spirit. And yet there may be something else that you're really good at and service that you really need, that our country and our world needs. So when you look at the background and experiences in life, we often feel limited. So we need to look at those things and see if they're really true. Do they really resonate? You know, we live in an age of specialization. You know, it's kind of like there's one way to do things. And sometimes when we kind of stick with that too much, our brain gets inflexible, it gets brittle, and sometimes it breaks. You know, we have depression and we have mental issues, and all of that could be because we're not connected to source and being all that we can be and who we need to be. So we put some of these self-imposed blinders and limitations on ourselves. So as a metaphysician, a student of metaphysics and meditation, we don't have to limit ourselves. We really don't. The universe, and it's really tremendously versatile in its expression. It really is. So if you're stuck in a specialization branch, you think that, you know, this is the only way that I need to go or do, then you need to put that aside. You need to open up your connection with spirit. And by expanding this connection, you really pull in all the things that are good in life. And it could be abundance, it could be relationships, you name it. It could be just pure happiness. So once you can strip away these limitations, the things that have boxed you in, you know, these channels start to open up and you link more closely with source and in a number of ways. So you become what I call an all-channel thinker. It's one who sets a mental attitude, who has a view, an understanding, a knowing that the mind, body, and spirit are open to receive all that's good. And you start thinking that way, you start feeling that way, you start acting that way. And your consciousness opens up in so many ways. And then you start seeing things in your life happening. Sometimes you'd be surprised. Maybe all the lights on Mercury are green. I mean, it happens. It's happened to me. And, you know, that's pretty amazing if you ever lived in Hampton. And you might think they're little things, but they're messages to say, keep going, opening up. So your consciousness is like a mental opening, and you need to open the doors and the windows to let source in and all that's good. So let's talk about a few guidelines, and I'm kind of going to read these a little bit, so bear with me. Begin to picture in your mind, see yourself as someone who has your channels open. Understand, think that you're open, so that you're open to receiving from the universal mind of God. You know, and then take some time during the day, your daily activities, just take a breath and feel that the channels are open, that you are receiving vibrations, good words, good mind thoughts. So, and also think of yourself that you're constantly receiving from God. For heaven's sakes, don't think of yourself or believe that if one option closes, you don't have others. Because very often, source has a better idea. It has something better for you. Know that you're multifaceted. You're not a simple person. You really have a lot of opportunities and availabilities. And there are numerous possibilities. And I guess, think of yourself that your mind is leading you down new avenues and opportunities. And know that your mind is constantly expanding and new information is coming in. And I guess the biggest thing is, don't let the opinions of other people limit you in any way. The only opinion that matters is the one you have of yourself. And you are a child of God. You are an essence of God. You are all that's beautiful and special. So also, and this one's pretty heavy, at least was for me, realize and accept that you are forever an individualized expression of God's universality, of God's energy and God's love, which seeks to express itself through your successes. And to that means forever and ever. I'm a universal expression. I'm an expression of God's energy. And if I have to keep coming back around and around, I want it to be really good. I want the ice cream and the cherry on top. And so I'm working on opening all my channels so it can be that way, because it's going to be for me internally. And that's what I'm going to feel. And that's what I would like all of you to feel. So I share with you what I'm working on, and maybe it'll inspire you. Maybe you'll just say, good luck, Susan, which is fine. Thank you very much.